They told us that history was shaped by presidents and by wars and by the loud masks that we could see. But the real script was written in the quiet halls of power by men many of us never voted for. And actually, we didn't even know they existed. This is the Blueprint Fathers. And excuse me while I read my script. They are not the founding fathers carved into our marble statues. They are the refounding fathers of the post-World War II empire. Bankers, lawyers, generals, think tank priests. They gathered after the war and wrote the world that we live in today. Kind of important to know who these people are. I've been wanting to get to these people sooner than now. But then, Citrus had to go and flatline on us, and I still believe that. But we'll talk about that in another video. They gave us Brentwood Woods, the World Bank, NATO, and the CIA. They gave us the Heritage Foundation, the Federalist Society, Project 2025. They gave us the cage and taught us to call it freedom. Their worldview, they believe in hierarchy above all. The world to them is a pyramid. And there's a few at top and controlling the many below. Equality is chaos in their eyes. They believe in scarcity as control. They designed an economy where wages never rise, debt never ends, and housing is always just out of reach. If you're exhausted, you're obedient. They believe in patriarchy as order. Women are not equals in their design. Women are caretakers, mothers, wives, bodies to be controlled, not voices to be heard. They believe in YT supremacy as stability. Noir, brown, and indigenous communities rising is their greatest fear. Yes, it was their system that burned down Noir Wall Street and dismantled every thriving Noir community across America. All the times that they were thriving. Okay? And we don't learn that in our history because they also control that. This is all my screenplay from my screenplay, Death of the Shadow Scripts, Rise of the Sun Councils. And I'm just reading about all the different characters and cool little storylines that I'm considering putting into the main film. And I'm just not sure yet how I want to do that. So we'll figure it out together, won't we? Okay, so sometimes by fire and sometimes by redlining, but always by design. And they are terrified now. I love that for them because demographics are shifting because they are becoming the minority. Their response, contest suppression and immigration panic, endless fear campaigns. They believe in faith as a weapon. They do not pray. They recruit preachers. The false flock was their creation, turning pulpits into contest machines. They believe in war as profit. Every battlefield is a banquet table for them. Every BOMB dropped is a check cashed. So how do they control us? Schools that erase true history and train obedience. Media that repeats their script and buries dissent. Debt that chains generations. Work that drains identity. Law that punishes the powerless and protects the rich. So this one's hard to read. Division, left versus right, race versus race, citizen versus immigrant, so that the people never unite against them. Because if we would, it'd be over in 2 seconds. And yes, this was never just about the U.S. The Blueprint Fathers exported their cage. Colonialism is their favorite weapon. They carve up lands abroad the same way they did here. Coups in Latin America, proxy wars in Africa, and resource theft in the Middle East. They install dictators, then call it democracy. They bleed nations dry, then call it development. Wherever you see IMF austerity, U.S. military bases, or resource pipelines defended at gunpoint, you are seeing the blueprint at work. Why do they do it? Well, because they're afraid. Afraid of losing control, afraid of equality, afraid of revenge for the centuries of harm they know they've done to others. They want wealth as immortality, power as survival, legacy as control. They want their children and grandchildren to inherit not just fortunes, but the pyramid itself. They call it order. We call it domination. The blueprint fathers are not gods. They are old men with pens. They mistook greed for destiny, and every temple of control eventually cracks. Their blueprint is just a drawing. It's not the house. The people still hold the hammer. The people still hold the light. When the flash comes, it will not only burn away the masks on the stage, it will ignite the blueprint itself. And in the ashes, we will see that what they have always feared most, a world where the councils of people, not the fathers of control, write this story. So where are we now? Where are we right now with all this? We're inside of the end game of the system, what many call late stage capitalism. But it's more than just economics. It's the convergence of all their fears coming true at once. 1, demographic shift. White puffy clouds. White is the color of puffy clouds. Is mathematically collapsing in the U.S. By the 2040s, puffy clouds people will no longer be the majority. They know this and it terrifies them. Every law about immigration, every attack on contest rights, every push for false flock is panic management of this reality. 2, capitalism at the breaking point. Their system was built on infinite growth, but the planet is finite. Climate collapse, resource scarcity, and supply chain failures are exposing the lie. The more the system breaks, the more they squeeze, privatizing water, healthcare, prisons, and even disasters. 3, exposure of their playbook. For decades, they could hide behind respectability, quote unquote, respectability. Now the internet and mass awakening make their strategies visible. With P25 is basically them saying the quiet part out loud. A lot of people have been saying this all along, that the P25 was the quiet part out loud, and it is. And then 4, the loss of narrative control. Their old tools, TV, news, pulpits, newspapers, the mirror halls, don't hypnotize like they used to. The people are restless, skeptical, and angry. Even conspiracy theories are a sign of cracks. People know that they're being lied to, even if they don't know by whom. So how did we get here? Let's break it down. Post-World War II, in the screenplay, Death of the Shadow Script, Rise of the Sun Councils, I'm going to talk about the backstory of this script and the screenplay and how the main characters got to where they are. And let me know if you guys think there's like some unrealistic aspects in here or some aspects you've never heard of, because I'd be interested if like maybe I shouldn't reach so far with this screenplay. You know what I mean? Like where I'm going with all this. Post World War II, they built an empire. They set up NATO, CIA, and global finance. The 60s and 70s civil rights, women rights, anti-war movement scared them. Their response, law and order politics, mass incarceration, and corporate PACs. The 80s to the 2000s, Reaganomics. There used to be another one that was called something similar to that, but I can't remember what it's called. Well, anyways, I just came up with that name on my own. If it sounds like something else, it's literally just by accident. Free trade, globalization, factories gutted, jobs outsourced, unions crushed, wealth hoarded at the top. Post 9/11, they weaponized fear again, endless wars abroad, surveillance at home, Patriot Act, drones, homeland security. 2008 crash, their greed cracked the system. Instead of reform, they bailed themselves out and doubled down. More debt, more inequality. 2016 onward, they unleashed the loudest mask, Citrus Crown, to keep people distracted while they moved P25 into position. So no, it wasn't inevitable, it was engineered. And every crisis they exploited. Every gain by women, minorities, or workers, they countered. That's why it feels like that. It feels like every move, they're like already have a move because they're already, this is their whole thing. That's why. They have endless money and they've been doing this for a long time and they're ready. And they're circling the wagons. They're circling the wagons. You know? But there's more of us. And if more of us can wake up, the wagons are small in comparison. So please share this video with everybody that you can, okay? Share it out. share the whole series, for crying out loud. Okay. What they want right now, they want to lock in power before the demographics flip. P25 is their attempt at cementing, permanent minority rule. To privatize everything that remains. Schools, that's why they're trying to dismantle the public versions of things, because they want to privatize it. Schools, Social Security, same thing, Medicare, same thing, and water, before collapse strips them of profit. To expand the banquet of war, Ukraine, Gaza, Taiwan, because war is their most reliable engine. To silence dissent by criminalizing protest, weaponizing courts, and turning neighbors against each other. So, where are we really? We are in the end stage of the Blueprint Fathers' design invisibility failing. So, their fear, it's naked. That's why they're saying the quiet parts out loud, because they're cornered. And so they're just like, la, 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 they're like blasting it out. Their greed is unsustainable. They've taken it so far that we have nothing. So if we have nothing, we can't even go to work. We can't do the base things that they need. You know, black out the system. Their masks are cracking. This feels like chaos. Okay? I know I see some of your comments. Most of you guys are now kind of rising in this. And you're like, yeah, F this. I'm excited. Some of you are afraid, you know, and I just keep saying, see every brick as liberation. Don't see it as like, oh my God, that building that used to take care of me my whole life, it's cracking. I want you to adjust your eyes. I want you to see that building you thought was taking care of you was actually a wall that you were put inside of and I was put inside of in a prison yard. We are all like just working for no life. For no equality. There's nothing good. And the things are getting worse with chemicals and food and factory farming and like everything. And you know it. We all know it. We all feel it. That's why we're all just like easily willing to walk away from stuff because it doesn't have anything left. That's what they don't take into consideration. People will do a lot of stuff as long as we can have like our families and we can have fun on the weekends. Like most people will even sacrifice Monday through Friday, which I don't even think we should do. But people will sacrifice it if they think they're meant to do it, and that's just the way life is. But these greedy Blueprint Fathers went too far. They're taking Monday through Friday away from us too. So guess what? They're taking Friday through Sunday away from us too. So if we don't have Friday to Sunday, then there is no Monday through Friday because we're not doing this anymore. Like that's just not the way it's going to work. So it feels like chaos, but it's actually exposure. Okay, they are not invincible. We're seeing that they're cornered. So let's look at how will the flash affect them, okay? One is the loss of the narrative control. And if you don't know what the flash is, I have a whole nother series about the flash, and I'll talk about it more as we go along, but I want to stay focused on the players right now. But this is how the flash is going to affect the Blueprint Fathers. One is the loss of narrative control. Their greatest weapon has always been story. They control the script. What's news, what's history, and what's possible. All these like documentaries about, oh, this guy, he came back from, you know, being in the prison wrongfully. Like I finally see it. Like I used to think people that talk like that were crazy. Not crazy, but I thought they were like stretching it. I was like, there's not a big plan against us. We just have to figure, there is in the screenplay. I'm just talking to my fellow actors. So you guys have to get into character, okay? You have to get into character, like, yeah, feel that feeling of feeling tricked and trapped. That's where I want you to be as a character in this screenplay. But I also want you as a character in the screenplay to realize that there's more going on too, and you can wake up. Okay. The Flash is pure truth pouring through. No spin, no media filter, no think tank narrative. For them, it is terror. The mirrors shatter. The masks dissolve. And everyone sees who's been pulling the strings. Number 2, collapse of scarcity. This is my favorite one. They control us by making us think that there's not enough. Not enough jobs, not enough money, not enough food, not enough safety. But the Flash reveals abundance. It shows how artificial these shortages are. It dismantles their chokehold on resources. They control the resources and then they tell us, you guys, I'm sorry, there's not really that much there. There's abundance, and the Flash is revealing that to every single person on this planet. And once you know that, you can never go back in this screenplay. Okay. Number 3, exposure of the bloodlines and ledgers. Noir mail, secrets, hidden wealth. All of it is their glue. Okay, the flash makes the hidden visible. The eclipse papers explode into daylight. Generational dynasties, old families, and secret councils lose their shield of invisibility. Their names, their crimes, and their stolen wealth, all known. 4, fear of becoming the minority. The demographic shift they already fear will no longer be something they can mask or manipulate. The flash reveals the falsity of racial hierarchies. People see the absurdity of YT supremacy. Their nightmare, the pyramid dissolves into a circle. No more top, no more bottom. Number 5 is collapse of colonial control. Abroad, the flash exposes the blueprint, coups, puppet regimes, IMF chains. Nations long dominated will see the strings, cut them, and rise. The banquet of W, their greatest profit machine, shrinks under the light. Soldiers and citizens alike refuse to play their roles. 6, spiritual terror. The blueprint fathers do not fear God, but they fear accountability. The flash is not just social or political, it is soul deep. It pulls masks off of psyches. They will feel naked, small, and mortal. The myth they've told themselves, we are destiny, collapses. 7, their choice point. Some will cling tighter, scrambling to enforce control, even violently. Others may break down, confess, or simply fade, but none escape the light. The flash strips them of the one thing they've always had, the illusion of inevitability. So the flash is the end of their pyramid, but all these other parts have to, in the flash series, I talk about how Aurea and my Star Council team say that the pyramid has to be a certain level of broken down before the flash comes. If it comes too early, people will cling to the pyramid for security. And if it can't come too late either. It has to be perfectly timed when the pyramid is crumbling, flash happens, sun councils rise. But there are already some councils, kind of local ones, a little bit forming as this is crumbling. And then more and more and more flash happens, and then this even grows more. And there's still some parts of the pyramid, but it doesn't have the same power it used to have. So it's going to be a big, big change. Okay? So, let's see. The flash ends their pyramid. It dissolves their scarcity, their secrecy, their supremacy, their script. They become what they've always feared, powerless old men. Exposed before the people that they were trying to control. So here's how they do it, okay? Here's how, because I was like, I can't picture, how do these like old men, a handful of old men, I don't care if they're rich, but how do they control everybody? So they rule it through the systems, obviously. So let's see, it's not just a few men, it's institutions that they set in motion. The think tanks like Heritage, Cato, AEI, write the intellectual justification for their agenda. Lobbyists and PACs funnel billions into politicians to enforce it. Courts and judges, lifetime appointments lock in their worldview long after they're gone. Corporations serve as their economic arms, keeping workers tied to jobs and healthcare. And media conglomerates shape what we see, hear, and even what we imagine as normal. You know what I'm saying? Like, even just picturing what's possible, they even have. That's why I think a lot of people are afraid of AI, because they wanted us to be afraid of AI. Because if we knew how much of a power it would be to help us, we would crush them again. So they wanted us afraid of it, so that we would stay away from it, so they could use it against us. So even if the original blueprint fathers die, the machine they built runs on, which is what's happened. 2, they control the story of reality. This is a big one. They know that narrative is stronger than bullets. Schools, textbooks, news, anchors, even Hollywood, all shaped the same story. This is freedom. This is order. This is the best possible world. You know in Truman's Show, when Truman has finally had it, he doesn't know what's wrong, but he's had it. Everything just feels wrong. It feels controlled. It feels scripted. Everything's on loops. He's just like, this isn't life. And everyone's talking to him like, anyways, at the very end, when he has the sailboat and I worked at Paramount Pictures, and I used to walk by that, what they filled. They made it a parking lot, but it's this huge, huge area that they filled with water to film that scene. But I used to walk by it every day to have lunch, and I thought about that. But anyways, his sailboat, he doesn't know where he's going, and he might actually be unalived by the storm. It's just, you know, the blueprint fathers of the Truman Show are flipping switches, making storms happen, making waves happen, making lightning happen, making rain happen, making wind happen. Like they're working like a music producer at a, you know, soundboard. He has got all these switches, and he's throwing everything he can at Truman in that boat. He's throwing everything at him, and Truman's like, I don't care. You can unalive me. I don't care anymore. I can't live this life anymore. I can't. And I have lived through this. I understand this. That's why I'm talking like this. And I know that if you're watching this, you know what I'm talking about. You may not be conscious of it fully, but you feel something in your body when you're listening to me. And when you hear people talk like this, the way that I'm saying all this stuff, you feel it. You're like, yeah, there's something off about all of this. This does not feel right. You're right. It's wrong. They have been taking advantage of us all this time. Okay? We are waking up now. I'm so glad I'm part of this time. And yes, it comes with other things like being scared and lots of things getting crazy. But the good thing is you get to be alive when the new thing starts to develop, when there's a birth of a new thing. You know how many souls are clamoring to be here right now during this time to be part of this? And you're here, and that's awesome. So anyways, when Truman is here and they're throwing everything they've got at it, he even falls out of the boat. It's a sailboat. He falls out. He's just clinging to the water. And he's like, I don't care. I don't care if I unalive. I don't care. I'm not sticking to that other life. I'm not going to just keep getting up every day, going to work and being in the loop. I'm not going to do it. And so he somehow gets back into the boat, and he's just crying. He's being rained on. It's the storm. And even the people in the control room with the guy are like, we're going too far. Like we're going to unalive him. And the guy just looks like a crazy scientist. The Truman Show is this whole project. And they're like, this is a real guy. And he's like crying, and he's freaking out, and he's willing to unalive for this cause. Like, let's stop. I think we're actually going to do something. So, you know, most of the people that are in the project don't like it. They're kind of like, we don't want to be part of this. But Truman stays on the boat, and he keeps going towards the great unknown. He just would rather just go out into the sky of, I have no idea where I'm going, but I'd rather go where I don't know where I'm going and what is what, and cross that abyss than stay one more day living a lie. I cannot do that. And guess what happens next? You think, oh my God, where's he going? I guess that's the end of the movie. No. The front of his sailboat pokes through a piece of a facade, a fabric, a screen that has a sky projected on it. His sailboat punctures through there, and it rips it. That is the flash. That's what's coming in my screenplay. It's this mast of the thing puncturing, or the front of, I don't know if it's a mast. Why am I trying to act like I know sailboats? I watch, anyways, I don't remember the names. The point is, the front of his sailboat punctures through the screen that looked like a fake sky going into eternity. And it rips it. And guess what? He gets up and he looks around and goes, wait, what? It's all a facade. He gets out of the boat. And if you haven't seen this, I'm sorry. Go watch it, okay? And I'm sorry I just ruined it for you, but I'm also waking you up to life and my screenplay. He gets out of the boat. He can stand in the water. It's not a deep ocean. He's not headed off into wherever. He's at the end of the facade. He gets out of the boat and he walks to the right, and there's a staircase. He walks up the stair. You couldn't even see it before. He walks up the staircase. He realizes there's a door in the sky. He opens up the door and he looks back and goes, in case I haven't said it, his little statement, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. And that's how the movie ends. And guess what? That's what's coming for us. Because you know where we are right now? We're in the boat. We're in the wind. We're like, how much more are they going to take from us? What are they doing? They're ruining everything. They're like destroying this whole thing. No, they're destroying what's false. They are destroying what is the lie. Their greed and probably the universe and something bigger is destroying what should have never been there, so that we can finally walk out that door and create what should be there. The rise of the Sun Councils. So the Blueprint Fathers are huge. The Flash is bigger than any Blueprint Father. We together are bigger than the Blueprint Fathers. Okay? I'll see you in the next episode.